So what's the latest information that you have when it comes to warnings and advice?
Yeah, so we just had earlier this morning some warnings now issued along the Colo River. We've seen the river rise rapidly at Colo, and we're talking given evacuation warnings out to all the residents along the river there, potentially looking to have an evacuation order issued, already now as expected by 5 a.m. and hasn't been issued yet, but we've potentially got a big task there now getting people out of the Colo.
How many evacuations are we talking?
Look, we're talking about hundreds. There's not heaps of people there. It's potentially a difficult evacuation. There's not great road access anymore, and some people that are really quite isolated already. So if we have to evacuate that area, it's potentially quite a task.
Okay, so quite a few challenges there. You talk about the fact that what people are living in isolated areas, it's hard to get to as well for SES and emergency crews.
Yeah, it's hard to get to at any time in some of these places. So once you've got major roads cut off, it's we're talking about potentially, if we have to go there, evacuations by boat and by air.
Is that the only area? Is that river it?
No, look, there's still major flooding along the Hawkesbury River. Obviously, Windsor has now peaked and is steady at about 13 metres, just under 13 metres, and that's caused major devastation to a number of suburbs of Windsor, South Windsor, the whole way along the river. Pitt Town. Lots of houses under, hundreds of people already evacuated, and the river looks like it's peaked, but we'll still be watching to see if there's any further rises that would mean further evacuations.
Are there other river peaks expected today?
Look, we're hoping that the Colo River peaks today. We're hoping that the Hawkesbury River peaks at Sackville today. If there's no further rain like predicted, hopefully we're close to seeing the maximum of the water level, but we just don't know. And of course, we remain vulnerable here now for quite some time. Just because it doesn't rain tomorrow, it doesn't mean we're out of the woods. The dam's still full, the rivers are still high. Any further rain will just add to this again.
What are your constituents telling you at the moment, Patrick? What are they saying to you about their experience?
Look, this is a rapidly changing situation. There's been a lot of anxiety in the community. We've just been doing our absolute best to get information out. But a lot of people haven't lived through this before. We haven't had this since 1990. So people who have moved in here since then or haven't seen it. And a lot of people didn't know what to expect. And so there was a lot of people, really concerned, as well as the people directly affected, but just in the broader community. People didn't necessarily know how high their property were or what the reality was for the suburb they lived in. It was a bit of trying time, and we're still in the middle of it now.
And those people in evacuation centres, they being looked after?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really lucky. We've got a pretty amazing community. Everyone just, if you see a need, everyone jumps in. So we've had people really well taken care of. We've managed to get emergency accommodation for a lot of those people that have evacuated. We only have very small numbers actually at our centres, but they're being very well looked after by the people there.
So where can people go, Patrick, if they're watching this now and you want them to leave from where they are?
Yeah, so there's 3 evacuation points set up. There's North Richmond Community Centre, there's Richmond Club, and there's Castle Hill RSL. So I think the SES's preference is if you're on the eastern side of the river and you can get to Castle Hill RSL, it might be better to get there and get out of the way.
Do you think anything could have been done prior to this to limit the damage?
Look, it's not an immediate task, but my question is, why is the raising of Warragamba Dam wall, why has there been no decision? The state government said, several years ago that was a project that they were committed to. We've been in this consultation and planning phase for years. It's way behind schedule, the original schedule. If they'd made a decision and had raised the dam wall, this event wouldn't be anywhere near as devastating. And I think we're just as important as everyone else. Why can't we have that project moving forward?
There has been a lot of talk, as you'd be aware, that perhaps water should have been released from Warragamba Dam prior to this. What's your view on this? Could that have even been possible?
Look, I haven't had, to be honest, we've been so worried about getting people out safely. I haven't had time to contemplate what could have been happening in the last 2 weeks. I think the comments of David Elliott, he probably raised some valid questions that need to be asked. But I also note that with the amount of rainfall we've had, the dam would have spilled over anyway, even if they'd let some water out, but potentially not quite as high. Yeah,
the problem with the argument is that if you say that you're going to drop capacity of Warragamba Dam down to 25%, that would have been a hard sell anyway. But then what if the rain event was a fizzer, and it lasted for a couple of hours and then didn't fill the dam back up again? Tell you what, heads would roll if that was the case.
Yeah, and look, water security in Sydney is a huge issue on its own. Doesn't feel like it in the time of a flood, but it is a big issue. But I don't think anyone's suggesting it should have been dropped down to 25%. I think the comment was if you wanted no spillage at all, you have to have it at 25%.
Well,
I think
that's what the government's saying.
Yeah, I think it's probably, but every litre they let go 2 weeks ago wouldn't be here now. Whether there was nothing or just less, still would have helped. But like I said, I haven't really had time to put my mind to that question and think that through at the moment.
Mayor, are you looking to airlift food, milk, medicine, anything like that today?
Look, we do have a problem on the western side of the river that potentially there is no road access in or out. We're working with the government on that. I've been speaking to the state counterparts to try and work out what is that plan. So we don't know exactly what will happen there yet. I haven't been told what the plan is, but hopefully people should be aware that we know it's a problem. Don't panic. If we need to get supplies in, we'll find a way to get supplies in.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you'd be happy. Obviously, you'd be happy with ADF support today if it came on board.
Look, we're not managing that, so I probably won't comment on that. I mean, whether that's required or not, it's really up to the state.